Boy, if you stay, I'll always make sure that you do see a brighter day. Don't let us slip away. Hello, YouTube. I hope you're all doing well. It is mad loud. Like, I'm a New Yorker, but I know that one day I'm gonna leave New York. Like, the only thing that really kept me here is my son. You know, when you're raising a kid and his father family, you know, live close, you know, I just never wanted to, hello, I never wanted to like live by myself. But every day I'm here, I just get, New York just gets on my nerves. It's loud. We got the loudest subway system any state. Y'all hear that, right? That is the 3 train. It is so loud for no reason, right? You take the Long Island Railroad, you take the Metro North, it's nice and quiet. It is no reason that it should be all this rumble just for a train. And then people spit in the street. It's like gross. And then by my job, right, it's a dead squirrel that's been there for a week. I normally call 311, but it's like nobody else cares about the dead squirrel. Like, and the person, somebody parked there every day. It's like they don't see it. Like, it don't bother you that there's a dead squirrel right by the curb. I'm surprised the kids see it and they point at it, but I'm surprised none of them like touched it, because you know kids, they weird, like, you know. So especially, you know, I don't want to stereotype, but the area I work at, you know, they like to do science experiments and stuff, or stuff like that. So, you know, but I actually wanted to talk about the difference between real love and love bombing, and how do you know the difference. And I feel like, yeah, so I quickly wanted to talk about the difference between love bombing and real love. And what made me think about this topic is rewatching the R. Kelly documentary. Even though it came out a few years ago, it's very educational.
The fridge that's there?
Not just that one, but there's also a Weinstein one, and there's a Bill Cosby one. And what they all have in common is they made the victims feel comfortable at first. You know, they didn't just snatch them up in the street and, you know, do a violent act right away. In all of the cases, what they have in common, they made the victim feel comfortable. And I wanted to talk about that because I feel like it can happen to anyone when you're in a vulnerable state. You know, how did the devil get Adam and Eve to eat the fruit? Right? For them, it was their curiosity. Their curiosity, I feel like they wanted to eat the fruit. But often it's vulnerability. If you're in a vulnerable space, like, perfect example, if your father, this is what I'm talking about, New York. Now, why would you beep your horn? Obviously, if it's people ahead of you, they gonna move it eventually. They not just gonna sit there. It's a green light, so just wait patiently for the person to move, right? Gosh. Yeah, driving in New York City, anybody would tell you, is annoying. And you have driving instructors that will tell you to be mean on the road. They'll be like, oh, you got the right of way, it doesn't matter. The person's in a baby carriage, stroller, old person, you got the right of way, just go. That ain't right. And it's only New York that think like that. But I digress. But what was I saying? Oh yes. So what they all have in common is that they were all love bombed. Weinstein was a little different because he would promise them employment. So R. Kelly kind of promised employment too, but A lot of the victims, it was a romantic relationship. A lot of the girls, people assume they didn't have fathers. In the Faith Rogers case, her father's a pastor. In Jocelyn Savage case, she does have a father. Parents are married. So these are not people from single parent homes. But only with Geronda Pace, the one who lied about her age, she was from a single parent home. And unfortunately, her mom didn't pay her no attention either. So she basically had no guidance. She also said, when the part that really hurt my feelings, when she said her high school graduation, nobody came. That's really sad. That's really sad, because if you're only 18 years old, I'm a grown 36-year-old woman. I'll be 36 tomorrow. And I can't imagine nobody being at my graduation. That kind of makes you feel, what's the point? It kind of makes you discouraged. And, I'm happy my parents were at my high school, but for my college, my father came. And it upset me that I'm not gonna front, it upset me my mother wasn't there. But then I had to pull myself together and be like, it's not just for me, it's for my son. So my son could look and be like, my mom got a whole bachelor's, I could do it too. So I let him miss school to come to my graduation so he could see the legacy that I'm setting forth. My cousins and I, all of us are first generation. None of our parents, none of our parents had degrees. So we're all first generation, like me and my cousins that are my age. And so I know what that feels like when your mom is not there. It sucks ass. So how old was I? I was 33. So when she's an 18-year-old and her mom is not there, I can only imagine how that feels. You feel unloved, you feel unwanted. But my father was there at least. But her father, she didn't grow up with her father. So that's a double, double pain, So when that happens, you become susceptible and vulnerable to other entities. And that's how R. Kelly was able to get to her, because there was nobody in her corner. She probably felt like nobody cared. And she said that she didn't feel like her mother cared about her. R. Kelly was the first person to, even though he abused her, he would ask her, did you eat? Her mother never asked her that. So I just wanted to briefly talk about that, because the devil will purposefully, and also what the hair braider said, she made the mistake of telling him things about her ex-husband beating her, and then so he actually verbalized it and said it back to her oh, I'm gonna beat you like your husband. So you gotta be careful what you tell these men, or just tell people in general, because they listening to what you're telling them, and they'll do the same thing or worse. It's crazy to even think like that, but that's what happened. So I basically wanted to talk about what is love bombing. Love bombing is what a person says to you in order to get what they want from you. It could be money, it could be sex, it could be attention, it could just be the fact of you're in a vulnerable state and they know that. So yes, so love bombing, what does that look like? Basically, it's just a tactic that a person does to get at you. They don't necessarily care about you, but they know what they need to say to get to you, to get to, to get to your brain, to get to your heart. And when it's over, it's over. So one thing that all the victims had in common with R. Kelly is that he was nice, he was charming, he was all the things that a woman wanted him to be. But as time progressed, he showed his true colors. And one of the victims was like, oh, he's not a monster. You know, he actually is a good person. Like, no, he is a monster. Because that's what, at the end of the day, is a snake going to bite you at first? No. Like, even with animals, like, they're not going to, like, at first, unless if it's like a lion or an animal where you know you're not supposed to be in their territory. But for the most part, you know, an asshole is not going to tell you, or a liar is not going to tell you, hey, I'm a liar. Even when you catch a liar in their lie, what do they always say? I'm not lying. Or they be like, I don't remember saying that. That's a classic one, right? I don't remember saying that. Or I don't lie. You're like, you know, people are not going to admit what they do. Because in their mind, they don't care, one. Or number two, they put it on you. You know? So, but when somebody truly, truly loves you, it's consistency. That's the difference. So you might have a woman that says, oh, you know, before we got married, or before we got married, he was a perfect gentleman. He was this, he was that, he was that. He was doing what he needed to do to get to you, right? Marriage doesn't change a person. It's a person changes on their own. Children don't change a person. And people really change on their own. For real. If a person all of a sudden, you don't know what's going on. Even in friendships, you know, those of y'all who lived a while, you know, like old folk would say, live a little longer. It's true. You know, sometimes when you're 21, you're 25, you don't really know. But once you get to my age, 35, you know, those of us that's older, 35, 40, you lived a while. Sometimes even in friendships, a person will be a certain way in the beginning, and then they change. They're not changing. That's who they are. And that's called love bombing, even in a friendship. You know, people get with you or want to be around you for different reasons. How can you tell if a person really loves you? Like I said, it's the consistency, right? They're not going to throw things in your face. They're not going to. Now, people do go through things and it might make them take a shift, but they're not going to do a 360. It's going to be like, you know what? I'm sorry for not calling or texting you for a couple of weeks or months. I was going through something. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to know. You're going to know within yourself. Love bombing is just straight. This is what I'm going to say to her for her to get her to trust me, for her to get her on my side. And then you'll never see that side again because it was a mask. So beware of that. Those are my thoughts.